And with that, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Alyssa Kreutzfeldt. So Alyssa, thanks for joining us on the AGC Talks event. I'm super excited to hear your talk, and I'm going to leave you with our audience.
All right. Thank you, Travis. We are 293 days into 2020 with 72 days left to go. And this year has tossed us all around. It shifted us from the right to the left and forced us out of our automatic way of operating. And today, with this many people listening, I know that some of us come on all the best of days, some of us come on all the hardest of days, and some of us come on the most ordinary days. And my charge for the next 15 minutes is to get us to lift our heads and perhaps lift them even a little bit higher, so that we claim these next 72 days and beyond with an aggressive inward attitude that they're important. I recognize that most of what's come at us this year has been out of our control, but what is always within our control 100% of the time is the attitude and tone that we choose to take on during these shifts. We are the authors of our lives. We get to write the chapter, the tone of each chapter, including this one. And from personal experience, I know that we'll title it one of three ways. We'll title it as evolve, repeat, or get stuck. And in our time together today, we're going to focus on titling it as evolve. Just because there's certain things that have not gone our way this year doesn't mean we need to get stuck in a place that we should only be passing through. And it also doesn't mean that we should simply merely survive. We can choose to evolve, we can choose to grow, we can choose to become better on the other side of this, and we can choose to capture the lessons and do so intentionally. I found that through personal experience through COVID and also other unsettling shifts that have happened in my life, that some of the most, some of the freshest ideas have come from this and some of the most captivating way forward. And it's also allowed me to pause and to kind of reorganize the internal and external junk maybe that's a part of me that should no longer be there. And you might be asking yourself, well, how do I do that when there's so much chaos, clutter, and noise all around me that sometimes I can't even hear my own voice and sometimes I can't even hear my own thoughts? Or perhaps like I'm feeling a little bit stuck or a little bit out of sync or a little bit the future, the unknown scares me a bit. So these are 5 tips that I'm going to share with you that will help you navigate through the highs and lows of life and help you step into awesome each day. The first tip is to be intentional. Intentionality is the foundation of all of us and the foundation of who we're going to become. We don't just automatically become better. We don't just accidentally fall into growth. Intentionality is connected to who we are and how we want to become. When we choose to step into intentionality each and every day, we choose to move from a life of wishing, good intentions, and observation into action, into doing, into commitment. We become committed. We no longer belong to life. We participate in life, and we participate in ways that are important to us and align with our values and our vision and the ways that we want to move forward. And there are 3 key areas that we need to be crazy intentional about. The first one is, the 3 key areas are attitude, priorities, and thinking. So the first one is attitude. And our attitude is a paintbrush of our mind, and our mind leads our body, not the other way around. So when we choose a positive attitude or a positive life stance, that doesn't mean that everything in our life goes our way. It means that we choose to find the lessons, we choose to live above the circumstances, and we choose to know that there's answers that are a part of it. Because positive attitude leads to positive traction and negative attitude leads to negative traction. We know that a positive mindset makes the good and the bad better, and a negative mindset makes the good and the bad worse. So we choose to have an attitude that propels us into our potential. The second one is priorities, really paying attention to the things that are happening. None of us can manage our time, but all of us that can manage the things that take up our time. So paying attention to what are those things that align us to our potential, align us to our vision. What are the things that fulfill us and make us come alive? And what are some of the things that are showing up that are draining us? One area that we all must define is to figure out what is that daily morning routine that helps us step into to set the tone for each day, to help to step into awesome each day and to not to not step into it in a neutral mindset, but to figure out what can I consistently do every morning that will set the tone, that will advance me, because what we do each day will help us advance for the next day and beyond. And the third piece that we need to be crazy intentional about is our thinking. When we think about our thinking, this is probably one of the biggest investments that we can make in ourselves, is the quality of our thoughts. So really thinking about what you're thinking about and understanding, are they more negative thoughts? Are they more positive thoughts? Because we are naturally designed to have the negative scream and the positive whisper. And what we tend to say to ourselves, we tend to believe. And what we tend to believe, we tend to become. And what we tend to, and it just continues to ripple in that area. And it helps, and it aligns with our self-image. So really paying attention to, what am I thinking about? And is that leading me closer to my potential, or is it bringing me farther away from it? The second tip is to organize and activate your inner game. Who we are on the inside is always what shows up on the outside. And when we are healthy and strong on the inside, we're always better on the outside. So paying attention to, what are those inner qualities that make you unique, that help you step into your brilliance each day? What are those giftedness? What are the areas of strengths? What are those values? Re-engage with the pieces that are important to you from a vision standpoint, from a dream standpoint, and have that be the pieces that ground you and fuel you. Oftentimes you can see when people are being squeezed, so pay attention to what you've seen out of yourself these past handful of months, because what's really inside of us is what's squeezed out of us when life gets tough. So really pay attention to that inner game and activate it, and spend some time reflecting, spend some time asking yourself some questions. And you don't just find the time, you have to be intentional about actually carving out the time to make that happen, and to organize that piece of who we are. The third one is the triple threat. So grasping onto the triple threat of the CSC, which is courage, self-discipline, and consistency. Courage advances us. It helps us step into the areas that we know that we can become. It helps us propel forward, and it also is something that we do. Courage is something that we do. Confidence is something that we feel. And know that when you step into courage, you're always stepping out of your comfort zone. And fear is always going to attack us. When we step into courage and want to continue to grow and expand, fear's job is to keep us safe and to be the gatekeeper to strength. And so just when the fear comes your way, think about, what is triggering this fear, and what can I do to get through it and get around it as well. So just know that successful people everyone has fear, but you have to figure out, how do I step through it and past it? The second one is self-discipline. John Maxwell always says that all of our, everything that we most want is an uphill. So everything that we're looking for in our businesses, in our relationships, and our personal lives, it's all uphill. And self-discipline is what pushes us. It's the piece that keeps pushing us uphill, the next one and the next one, whether we feel like it or not. It connects us with sustained success and movement, rather than temporary success and movement. So the self-discipline continues to allow us to step in each day consistently and build out positive momentum. And the third piece is consistency. Consistency isn't like the sexiest word, but it has a ton of punch and power, because when we can consistently own our attitude, own our priorities, own our thinking, and have it connect with the pieces in life that are important to us, there's a compounding effect to who we are day in and day out consistently. And that's why when I said the priority of understanding and defining what a morning routine is for you, so you can set the tone of each day in a powerful way, when you consistently do that, it's allowing you to advance in a healthy, positive way. So again, embrace the triple threat and bring those into your daily life. The fourth tip is to live alert. And so paying attention to really who and what is influencing you, and pay attention to, is that helping you raise your standards or lower your standards? Because the people that we spend the most time with, and the things that we spend the most time around, is absolutely influencing our thinking. And we are mature adults that get to determine who influences us for the better and who influences us for the worse or for the worse. And so paying attention to living alert in that area and allowing ourselves to make some shifts and some moves if we need to, so that we can become better each and every day. And the last one is to go first. This is one of my favorites, is to think about everywhere we look, there are people in need of encouragement. There are people in need of joy, of happiness, of hope. And so be the person that shapes the tone or changes the tone for someone's day, perhaps someone's week, or perhaps someone's life. All of us influence so many people, and think about your influence as a lit candle. How can your influence help people? How can it help them light the path in a positive, healthy way for who they are? Go first, share a smile, share a compliment, share an encouraging word. Be the person that goes first and doesn't wait for someone to do it. Because again, when we have our inner game activated and organized from the inside out, as I said earlier, when we're bigger on the inside, we're always better on the outside. And so when we're bigger on the inside, it allows us to give something to other people in a healthy way. So think about choosing to take the initiative to be a ripple starter of something good. Choose to take the initiative to be a ripple starter of something good. When we think about these five tips, all of us can absolutely step into them. All of us can embrace them each and every day. Yet there's always a gap with knowing something and actually doing something. And the way that we fill that gap and the way that we intentionally own it is we grasp onto some questions that pierce us. And so thinking about, how do you define these questions? That what will your future self thank you for being intentional about? Ask yourself that question and answer it wholeheartedly for yourself. And then from there, ask yourself, what will lead you to consistently take action in these areas or this area every day? And the last one is, when you do, what will this bring to your life? And my challenge to you is to not only just ask yourself the first question about what your future self will thank you for being intentional about, but go to the next layer of what will you consistently do? And the following layer of what will this bring to your life? Because when you ask yourself the second question and the third question, it allows you to understand why this would be important for you to discipline yourself to do this, and what will this bring to your life. So then you're emotionally connected to it, and that allows you to move from the temporary success in this area to the sustained success, because you're being pierced differently, and there's an emotional connection to what you want to accomplish there. So regardless the chapter that we're writing in life, whether it be good, bad, or ordinary, I hope that this closing picture reminds us that we are the tree in the valley, and we will always have our personal lives and our professional lives. We'll have highs, we'll have lows, we'll have high fives, we'll have discouragement, we'll have ordinary, we'll have extraordinary around us in this valley all the time. And we can choose growth. We can choose to evolve and become better regardless of what's going on around us from a circumstantial perspective. A couple days ago, my grandma turned 100 years old, and she has not only lived the length of her life, but she's chosen to live the width of her life in a very engaged and a very intentional fashion. And last year she shared with me, she said, Alyssa, life is amazing if you don't let it weaken you. And I'll leave us with that thought. Life is amazing if we don't let it weaken us. And my hope and my encouragement to all of us is that we take our lives and that we take our businesses and we write the best story in the world with them. We place ourselves in them and we intentionally own them with heart, with passion, and with courage. And that we boldly step into the mark that we want to make in a true and original fashion to who we are. So thank you.